Okay, so we were talking about the history of editing, and in the States, it's really pioneered by a guy called Griffith. So Griffith wrote basically all the manuals on what we now use as editing and filmmaking. Everything in directing and filmmaking comes from this guy. He created the first movie, The Birth of a Nation, which was it was a very super racist movie about the KKK, about the creation of America. Creation of America is a super racist history in the first place. So he actually did a 2-hour movie with these invisible cuts, with these invisible edits. In the meantime, at this point, in the beginning of the 19th century, you have the Russians working at the exact opposite. The USSR is starting, and they watched Griffith's The Birth of a Nation. And Lenin said that that film is the future of the world. So they created the first film school. The problem with the Russians was they were actually in embargo, kind of close to what's happening in history nowadays, but they were banned from getting film stock. So they couldn't get actual film. So their film directors like Khrushchev and Eisenstein, all they could do was study film. So they took The Birth of a Nation and they took about 4 or 5 other movies and they analyzed the hell out of them. They took them apart. For 20 years, they couldn't shoot. They had no film. They had cameras and no film. So the only thing they could do was study how film was done and re-edit how film was done. So they came up with what's called the Kuleshov effect, which is an effect we use in film, in psychology, and it's a super amazing effect, which is the way we link shots after each other affect the psychology of the audience. It's not the shot itself, but how they're linked together. So I'm going to show you a couple of the main experiment he did. Just jump to that part. Kuleshov effect. There we go. Basically, the Kuleshov effect is a sequence of shots after each other. So let's watch this.
Films are made up of sequences. Sequences are made up of scenes. And scenes are made up of shots. In our last episode, we discussed the types of camera rigs used to move the camera.